going back to what I was saying about Audi, I just felt that my thoughts about Audi was that they're picking at the other competing German team. I think that they don't really have a leg to stand on if they're trying to make this accusation of some kind of unfair advantage from Mercedes. Because, well, as I said before, if the car is legal, then they should go about their own business and see what they can do to get their cars more competitive. I mean, there's issue. I mean, if unless they're claiming, I mean, unless it's espionage, which it
No,
clearly isn't, then
No,
what
no,
they're
no.
arguing is that the rules weren't made clear. So they're trying to say that the rules were made so vague that Mercedes is able to manipulate it. And my argument is that no, I don't see any vague terminology there. There's no, the language is clear. It says that at based on the test that they give, if it doesn't have that ratio, if the ratio is too high
Compression.
for the test that they give, that's clear. It didn't say for a test. That would be vague. They said for a specific type of test that they're giving. So what they could argue is that the FIA should have created more rules that excluded loopholes, but that's never going to happen. And the FIA can say, well, maybe we on purposely knew about that loophole, but we didn't say so because we want to see if teams can be innovative and creative. You get what I'm saying? So to
yes, I
me,
FI is
mean
not
there
that
must be an
smart. FI
opportunity
is
to
not that
improve the
smart.
car.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe they're not, but I'm just saying we don't have proof that they're not that smart. The point I'm making is that we just have to follow what the rules say. But we know that the FIA can change his mind, and after six races, they can arbitrarily
They
just
might
change the
change.
rules. That's what they do all the time anyway. What do you think, Kunle? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so long as so long as I think everybody understands.
Yeah, a lot of people are just pissed because they didn't do the
I
loophole.
think Audi are just saw. Yes, they did. They weren't able to pick it out, so they're just annoyed. I think that
Yeah,
if
and
you're able to pick it out, we'll pick something else up.
if you look at Newey's car, he's going beyond interpretation too about aerodynamic rules. He's also finding loopholes. The car that Newey has now made is actually not in the spirit of going against ground effects. Do you see what I'm saying? But I don't hear anybody complaining about that. You know,
Yeah,
in
I don't
fact,
think
Newey has
Audi got
found,
nothing.
yeah, no, except for, yeah, I don't know
Audi
what
thought
they
that
have.
they
Yeah,
got something going on before testing, and it looks like they got nothing. I think
yeah. Well, and the main thing is that they haven't is deployment. They haven't mastered these types of engines, especially with the ICE. They're
yeah.
supposed to be good with the electrical part. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Roman? We'll be out of here soon. Yeah.
Okay. So in the end, all this turns out is that it is a bit of a distraction, but it is legal, very clearly legal. Whatever Audi might try to do to change it or do whatever they can't do much because it needs unification of rule, right? It is unification vote to change any in-season development or big thing like this. And Mercedes supplies half of the grid alongside with Red Bull, and Red Bull
Yeah.
Mercedes are not going to vote against the trick, are they? And they might be banned for next year, but this year they definitely have this thing available. But it is to be noted that regulation interpretation has always been challenged in F1, right? The thing
Mhm.
with F1 FIA is that they were too descriptive. They said like this measure is on this temperature, on this ambient temperature with the engine in this setting, right? The Mercedes said, okay, so it's only legal in this. So I
Yeah.
don't care, right? You only care about this part. So they were too specific. The part where the FIA was said they were too specific about the compression ratio, and and Toto Wolff was like, all right, so I'm fine on this then. I'm fine here
Well, to
on
me, that
track.
shows
I
that
can do anything.
the other teams are lazy then because this is what you do in logic. Like if you're a logic student, I'm talking about like in academics, what you do is you
Hmm.
see the formal rules and you find out what proofs you can get from the formal rule. It means that the other teams aren't using logic when they're doing it. They're being naive and assuming that everybody's going to play by rules. So that just shows you that the other teams aren't laser focused. They don't take things literally, which you should do if you're an engineer. Take things literally. And then when you take everything literally, you know what you can do within the literal confines of the rules. So I would argue that this is great methodology by Mercedes. What do you think, Kunle? Who's a lawyer who should know? Because you know about logic too, right?
Yeah, well, once you play by the rules, you play by the rules, and
Oh yeah, that's the game. But the thing is
that's
that
the
if you
game.
can, yeah.
Yeah,
But if you can get a jump on other people, go ahead. Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
You still have to have space for your to be able to refine and compete. I mean, they didn't say you're not allowed to build competitive engines, Audi. You are, and the reason why they did not be specific in that area is because that particular area is where you can look to improve your car, and you should have done more testing in that area. The fact that
Yeah.
Mercedes have spent I've got a 3-year advantage honing and spending time on that is not cheating. It's
They've been
just
thinking about it longer too. Yeah.
yeah, they just worked harder on it than you. I think some people might be annoyed that the car is less about aerodynamics. So like the when Red Bull are not going to have so much problem because their wind tunnel is behind, because these cars wind tunnel might not be as important for these cars as it have been for the older one. So there's different ways that you can have take advantage and disadvantage, and Audi simply haven't managed to find anything clever, and it seems like they've got a problem with their car, and they're not very fast, and they might be competing with the Haas's and the Cadillacs of this world,
Yeah.
and I think that's what's worrying them.
Well, I can't really help them. Once again, they're another team because Wheatley, who's their CEO or whatever, Wheatley's their is it Wheatley? Wheatley's their team principal.
Johnson Wheatley.
He's a mechanic. You get my point. Once again, I don't know what type of staff they have as engineers. I mean, a mechanic is great, but he's known for pit stops, making pit stops and all that. He's not known as somebody who's a genius of engines like Adrian Newey, or not engines, but a genius engineer like Newey. I don't even think he's not even an engineer, is he? Is he an engineer?
Yeah,
He's a dynamicist.
McLaren and Ferrari aren't making as much noise either.
He's an aerodynamicist, but he when he was with Red Bull, he was working on the pit. That was it, team
Oh,
operations.
you're talking about Newey. Yeah, he's mechanical.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the guy with Audi. Yeah.
Yeah.
The mechanic.
Binotto's the engine guy. Binotto's the engine guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, he's
Binotto's the
okay.
engine guy.
But we all know that all these big names is not what it's going to do for engine. You'd have to have a team, a crew. Like we saw, Red Bull took everybody from Mercedes power unit. Red Bull took over 100 Mercedes engineers from
150.
150. Kule, can you hear that? This shows you just how much money they have too. Because how much do you think each of those engineers is getting paid? At least $100,000 a year. And they take 150 engineers from Mercedes from last year. So that's why it seems like Audi can't compete. That's the real reason. It's because they don't have the manpower or the human resources. What do you think, Kule?
There should be the manpower and resources. German culture, they have a school of steel.
No, but they don't have the numbers. It's the money. Like, think about taking 150 engineers from Mercedes. You know how much money you have to do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
They made 12 billion last year. Red Bull company, they made 12 billion last year.
So I think that's the problem is money. Yeah, it's money.
They have a lot of money. They have a lot of money.
Audi have got money. Although Audi have been losing money, but that's a different story.
Because Red Bull makes money. Red Bull makes most of their money from extreme sports and from their drink, and it's tons of money. And they must have a low overhead cost expenditure. But anyway, so we're almost done. Last thoughts, Roman. Yeah.
Last thoughts is that I want to see them on track, and let us be very hawkfully, like a hawk, watch Mercedes' advantage. Is it really what they're trying to hide, or other things can catch up?
And you think they're hiding something about cooling to keep things going? Is that what you said? Add another radiator or something? Like that? What do you think they're hiding? What do you think they're hiding?
I think they're hiding it because they don't want others to find out. Not that they're cheating. I think they just don't want others to
it's hiding the plain side.
It doesn't have to be something specific. What is the mechanism they're hiding? Not a specific part. Yeah.
What I think is it's like hiding in plain side. Plain side is the cooling inlet. It is very painful. The way it's very hidden, like I saw the car design, it has a very small outlet where the engine cover should be, but it has a very small outlet. I suspect it is a cooling trick that they're trying to use to cool the PCU as much as they can. Other teams were suffering with PCU cooling. But there's a FIA regulation on how much cooling the PCU can receive, by the way. So I think that's a very clever way to hide the PCU cooling with that small outlet. I want to see how that really impacts when the engine inevitably blows up. I do want to see that.
They're going to be in Bahrain, so that's going to be hot, but we'll see. But it seems like they're reliable so far. All right. Take us out, Kunle. So, Kunle, that's it for today. I guess we'll do something tomorrow.